So for the card this weekend, Colby Covington versus Joaquin Buckley, the last card of the year, I wanted to do something a little bit different. For my predictions, I wanted to highlight 4 fighters that I think are the most interesting fighters on this card. Guys that are maybe they're close to a title shot, maybe they just have a lot of potential in the division, maybe they have a really fun fight style. And before I get into it, I wanted to say thank you. There's been a lot of people watching in the last couple days, a lot of people that subscribed. I appreciate that, and I wanted to let you guys know that I am looking into getting a new mic. I know the audio is not great on here, but let's get into it. So first, I wanted to highlight Felipe Lima. This guy's 26 years old in the featherweight division. He made his debut about 6 months ago against Mohamed Naimov, which is an insane opponent to make your debut against. Right, that's one of the better guys outside the rankings in the featherweight division. And Felipe Lima looked great in that fight. He was cleanly outstriking Naimov, and he ended up submitting him with a rear naked choke in the 3rd round. Now, Felipe Lima is only 26. He used to be a bantamweight champion in Octagon MMA, and that bodes well for him as well. People talk about the lighter man's skill moving up, and that's something that Felipe Lima definitely looks like he has. He's fast and crisp on the feet. He looks like a killer on the ground. He's a Brazilian guy, and it looks like he's one of those Brazilian guys that has great jiu-jitsu. He hasn't lost a fight since 2015. His first professional fight, he lost by submission. Since then, he's had 13 wins in a row. I believe 6 by decision, 4 by submission, and 3 by knockout. And yeah, so this guy is the real deal in the featherweight division, or at least it looks like it. As far as debuts go, a submission win against Mohamed Naimov is about as good as it gets, right? His frame, I think, looks really good for featherweight. He did used to fight at bantamweight, but I don't think it's a size concern, because when he was fighting at bantamweight, he was still a young guy, 22, 23. Now that he's at featherweight, I think he's filled out his frame more, and he does have a featherweight frame. He's about average height for featherweight, but a good, stocky, muscular build that is also lets him stay fast. It lets him stay crisp and powerful on the feet. But I think where he really excels is on the ground. And I think that's where he'll be looking to take this fight this weekend. So watch out for that. Expect an impressive performance for Felipe Lima. And if we do see that, I predict we'll be seeing him get a shot at the rankings sooner rather than later. I think this is a guy that the UFC will be happy to push ahead, and I think he's a guy that's ready for it. Alright, next let's talk about Joel Alvarez. He's not as young as a guy like Felipe Lima. He's 31, I believe, but this is a guy that's had a lot of success recently in the UFC lightweight division. Now, there was a time when he was losing to a lot of guys, but since 2019 he's been 6-1 and only lost to Arman Sarukian, which is an excusable loss at this point in his career. And he just looks like he's been improving every fight. Now, this guy has a really rangy striking style, which is to be expected because he's 6'3" with a 77-inch reach at lightweight. He's like a Jalen Turner type of guy, but I think more skilled than Jalen Turner in the striking. And this is also a guy that has good takedown defense, he's proven lately. This guy has dangerous striking for a rangy guy, right? Sometimes those guys are like Israel Adesanya type, or sometimes they'll just be kicking around on the outside, landing jabs. But this is a guy that's going to go for the finish every time. Great straight punches, great kicks, some flashy techniques. You'll see some spinning kicks out of him, stuff like that. He has TKO wins over Thiago Moises and Elvis Brenner in his last 6 fights. And those are some of the best, toughest guys outside of the rankings at lightweight. His fight with Elvis Brenner was great, a war. And Elvis Brenner is a guy that I look at pretty highly as well. He's had some tough run-ins with some other really good guys like Joel Alvarez and Orlby, I believe. But a win over Elvis Brenner is serious. Alright, and then next we got Navajo Stirling. This guy is fresh off the Contender series, but he could be a much-needed prospect at light heavyweight. He's only 27 years old, so he'll instantly become one of the youngest fighters at light heavyweight. He's athletic for the division, right? He's tall, muscular, good frame. He's not one of these light heavyweights that's carrying some extra fat. He's 5-0 in his career at light heavyweight. He is relatively new to MMA. He was a former kickboxer and Muay Thai fighter. But I think in the light heavyweight division, you can get away with not having the greatest grappling defense or grappling, at least until you make it to these higher levels. We've even seen with Alex Pereira, how many light heavyweights have tried to take him down, right? Now, I know Alex Pereira probably has pretty decent or at least passable grappling at this point in his career. Navajo Stirling, making his debut in the UFC after a knockout on the Contender Series, is not given a grappler. He's gotten Tuco Tokos, I believe is his name, who's just kind of a below average all-around light heavyweight. I think his approach, Tuco Tokos' approach to this fight, will be grappling. But if Navajo Stirling is any good with MMA, he's going to be able to stuff those attempts and discourage that by strongly outstriking Tuco Tokos on the feet, which is what this guy wants to do. He's riding a 4-fight TKO streak heading into this one. On the Contender Series, he had a pretty nasty, I believe it was a jab, right straight, left hook combo that put his opponent out cold. Yeah, so this is another guy to watch out for at light heavyweight, which is a good thing because that's where we need prospects. If he has a big performance, maybe says something interesting on the mic afterwards, expect the UFC to jump him up as fast as it can because they desperately need guys at the top of light heavyweight, especially athletic, young strikers like this. Alright, and then last but not least, we got the obvious one, Joaquin Buckley. Now, this guy isn't necessarily a prospect anymore because he is on a 5-fight win streak. He has beaten some legit guys in the division. He's TKO'd Luque, he's TKO'd Wonderboy, and especially against Wonderboy, he looked really good. Now, Wonderboy is, 41, 42? No doubt he's past his prime. No doubt he was never the most complete fighter, but he's always been a top contender. And what impressed me most about Joaquin Buckley's performance against Wonderboy is that he didn't even have to necessarily resort to grappling to beat him, like a guy even like Shavkat did. Kevin Holland got beat up by Wonderboy on the feet. Joaquin Buckley knocked Wonderboy out on the feet, and it wasn't a fluke. Now, it was pretty competitive in the striking, but Joaquin Buckley was consistently landing those blitzes when he was going for it, and when he finally did get Wonderboy backed up against the cage, it looked very intentional. It looked like he was setting up that big right hand that did eventually knock out Wonderboy pretty badly. And Joaquin Buckley, I'd say the best thing going for him is his athleticism, right? He's well-rounded, he's short for the division, but he's super explosive. He's strong. He's a hard guy to, in his fight with Colby Covington coming up, he's going to be a hard guy to grapple, right? Because he does have that low center of gravity. He is explosive. In my opinion, he's 2 fights away from a title fight, especially if he should beat Colby Covington. In my opinion, a win over Colby Covington, even at this point in his career, should probably guarantee you a number 1 contenders fight. All right, I don't think he should get a title fight off it, and I don't see him getting that because Shavkat's clearly next in line. But should Joaquin Buckley beat Colby Covington, maybe he gets an Ian Gary, maybe he gets a JDM if JDM doesn't get his own fight soon. They might give him a Carlos Prates, which that would be a fun matchup, but I don't know if that would be good for him. But yeah, Joaquin Buckley's another good guy to look out for. That main event should be fun. And if Joaquin Buckley wins convincingly, he's a legit top contender, which is something that I would be surprised to hear myself saying a year or two ago. Because in my eyes, Joaquin Buckley was kind of known for that spinning back kick, right? And other than that, he was just an average guy in the division. I think his second biggest highlight at that point was him getting knocked out by Kevin Holland. He looked like a little rat in that fight, no offense to him. But yeah, I like Joaquin Buckley. I do think he'll beat Colby Covington this weekend, and he's another guy you should keep your eye out on. Should be a good main event. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll be covering the fights this weekend. I appreciate you guys watching, and have a nice day.